Sup guys, this is Heat King here bringing you another movie review, and today's movie review will be on Alien Covenant, the sequel to Prometheus and the prologue to the original Alien, directed by Ridley Scott himself. So yeah, I just got back from the cinema after having watched the film, and what did I think? Did I like the film? Did I think it's a good film? Do I think it's better than Prometheus? And the answers to all of those three questions are yes, I liked it, and yes, I think it is a good film, and yes, it's definitely better than Prometheus. And, you know, if you didn't find Prometheus that good because it didn't have the alien in it. Which is a bit weird to get into, because Prometheus is a very weird movie, and personally, I don't hate it as much as everyone else hates it. I hate it for the simple fact that the editing is bad, the story and the characters aren't that good. I mean, some of it is, but mostly because the editing is bad. There's a lot of stuff that was left on the cutting room floor that could have added more depth to the film, that could have, you know, added a bit more action to the movie, and we didn't get that, and the movie we got was a bit just all over the place, along with the stupidity of the scientist characters and such. The original script for Prometheus had a lot of aliens in it, mind you, and it was terrible. The version we got was a bit more tighter and better, and that says a lot. So yeah, but that still didn't make it a good film. Alien Covenant, on the other hand, is a much tighter movie, though there are still flaws and issues to be had, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I had a fun time with it. So yeah, Alien Covenant takes place 10 years after Prometheus, and we get introduced to these colonist characters, okay? Prometheus was about finding their god, finding out who created humans in the first place, and this movie is about a group of people traveling to a planet because they want to populate, the colonists, they're going around wanting to create a new life, and the ship is inhabited by all of these couples, and obviously something goes wrong and airy, and they end up making a side trip to this planet that they find near their sector, and shit basically goes wrong. And yeah, it's the basic setup for these movies. If you've seen the original Alien, if you saw Prometheus, that's pretty much what this movie is. The first two acts of this film are pretty much very reminiscent of the original Alien movie and the Prometheus film. You get introduced to the characters, it's a nice slow build-up, you get a good idea of who your main characters are, and then they go on to the planet, they start exploring, and stuff starts to go wrong, and then you get the alien scenes, etc, etc, the little build-up and the tension, and then oh man, starts to happen, and then of course you get the big escape action sort of packed third act, and yeah, the third act in this movie is pretty much full on alien. If you wanted the alien to properly show up, you get that in the third act. Whether it delivers or not is really up to your opinion. Personally, I liked it, but at the same time I had problems with it because of the tonal shift from how it was feeling like Prometheus at the beginning, and then suddenly it turned into Alien all of a sudden. And I don't know, there's a point in the movie where you can see where the pacing just sort of goes all over the place. It feels a bit too rushed. It's very fast paced, but it feels rushed. It feels like they threw this thing in at the last minute, and they were like, well, here you go. You didn't have the alien in Prometheus, well, here it is now. Enjoy. And while I certainly liked it, I would have liked to have used the more time to build it up more, because the alien in this film doesn't feel all that special like it did in the original movie. There was a lot of tension, a lot of build up to what it was going to be, and when you see it, and every time you did see it, it was very surprising and very horrific. Here it's there in your face all the time, and it's fun because we as fans, if you're a fan of the series and you've been with it since growing up with it like I have, then you already know what's going to happen. You've seen the chestbuster scene many times, you've seen the facehugger scene many times. There's really nothing new that this film can really offer, except it does give you some new stuff in the form of the neomorphs that we get introduced into this film. And we get introduced to some very unexpected, horrific scenes in terms of how aliens are birthed this time around. If you guys have heard about the rumors regarding the backburster and something else, yeah, it's pretty freaking gory. I mean, when it comes to gore, this movie definitely delivers in that department. If you're one of those guys that love the C-section part in Prometheus with Elizabeth Shaw, yeah, you're probably gonna have a fun time with that. I certainly did, and it was quite disgusting, especially the part when one character has well, I'm not going to spoil that, because that was unexpected, and yeah, that part was really gross. I mean, this movie is gross. And yeah, in terms of like I said, in terms of the story, if you're one of those people looking forward to seeing what it answers in terms of what Prometheus left open, you're not gonna get those answers. Okay, the movie does not really explain who the engineers really are. It doesn't explain why they wanted to kill off the humans in the first movie. It doesn't really explain what the black goo I mean, it does and it doesn't. There's a lot of yes and no things going on into this film. But if you want to know where the alien came from, yeah, this movie does answer that question. Even if it's a bit fast paced, because you get a lot of, like I said, you get a lot of slow scenes that are great between the characters. And you get some scenes of explanation that are very fast and very to the point and very like, yeah, here you go. And it's like, could you slow down a minute and just take your time explaining to us what's really going on? You're going too fast for my own good. Which brings me up to another problem with this film that Prometheus, in my opinion, suffered from, which was the pacing and the editing. You can tell from watching this movie that there are scenes that are cut from this film. I know for a fact that since I read up on spoilers, that there were test screenings that had the scene with Elizabeth Shaw and the flashback and that stuff has been cut, and instead it's been used as promotional material. You can find it on YouTube, you can watch it there, but it's a shame that's not in the actual film, because it would have offered some development in terms of what happened with Shaw's character from Prometheus. If you want an answer in terms of what happened to a character, you do get it in this movie. That question is answered, and quite honestly, for some fans, if you really liked her character, it's going to be very disappointing. For others who, like me, really weren't that invested, you're not really gonna care too much. But at the same time, it's a bit, how do I say, unexpected. I can say this movie has some good twists, if predictable, but there are some unexpected parts going into it. For the most part, the ending is predictable. Okay, if you go into this movie, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens in this film that's obvious setup, and then it goes back to it later on, so it does come full circle, and in a way you can kind of predict how this movie is going to end and what direction it's going to go. But in terms of being a typical sci-fi horror thriller in space, or a planet and that, like your typical monster movie, it does follow that cliche, but that's not a bad thing. It makes it more fun, and it kind of gives you what you wanted with Prometheus, and you get that here. In terms of performances and actors, Michael Fassbender obviously steals the show. This guy is great in everything he does. He plays two characters in this film. He plays David, who comes back from Prometheus, and he plays the newer model Walter, and you get this sort of opposite ideology between the characters. You've got the one character who was more human, who sort of grew to have a soul, if you will, grew to be more free and released from his controls and from his shackles of control. And you got the other character who's a bit more protective of human life and whose duty is to serve, as it will. So he's a bit more of a slave, but then there is more of an element of free will there as well. So you get a nice contrast between these two characters, and their scenes together, well, technically Michael Fassbender's scenes as a whole are just a joy to watch, if a bit weird at times. But yeah, the development that his character goes through is probably the best part of this movie. He was one of the best parts of Prometheus, and he's definitely one of the best parts of this film in particular. He's definitely a worthwhile sort of anti-villain, anti-hero kind-ish character that you kind of see, and just to see that development and that attitude and how he transforms into that, it's very, what's the word for it? It's a what would you call it? A metamorphosis kind of change, I'd say that I'd use that word. Yeah. In terms of other characters and actors, you've got Danny McBride, and yeah, he was unexpectedly very good. Like I thought he would be one of those guys who would just be joking all the time. But no, he gives a very strong, kind of emotional, and at times funny performance. But he's definitely one of the highlights. He doesn't have a lot to do in the beginning and middle, but he is there, and he gets a lot to do in the third act. So yeah, he's definitely a highlight. And of course, you've got the main character, Daniels. And yeah, she's definitely no Ellen Ripley, and she's definitely no Elizabeth Shaw. I mean, but at times she does come across sort of a wannabe, which is a bit annoying at times, but you kind of get the gist of why her character does what it does. I mean, you got the beginning of the movie that sort of sets the tone and, the plot device and motivation for her character, so you can understand where she comes from. Her character is one of unexpected tragedy, and it's sad. You feel for her, and you kind of feel for all of these different characters whose couples start getting offed one by one. Especially the captain character, or Captain Omar, I think. Yeah, his character is one of faith. Okay, again, we have another religious fanatic person on the ship, but you feel sorry for him. You feel like he's going to be sort of an antagonist character, but by the end, you know, his whole world just comes crushing down because of his mistakes, because he wants to be, you know, he wants to be the guy that just sort of follows the path but doesn't really think about it, and it just kind of screws up for him, and you really feel bad for him by the end. And if you've seen the trailers, you obviously know what happens to his character. But yeah, it's tragic and it's sad, and this movie is just filled with tragedy, and the way this movie just begins and ends as well, like, it's a full circle kind of film that obviously sets up that for more to come, obviously, because yeah, this movie does end on a cliffhanger, because yeah, you know, we already know there's at least 3 more sequels coming, so yeah, this movie has to end on a cliffhanger, and it ends on a very predictable and yet sort of unexpected cliffhanger, and it's chilling to the bone. I'll give the movie that. The ending of this movie is chilling, to say the least. When it comes to the other cast and the other crew members and characters, they're just sort of there. They're basically your cannon fodder, which is a bit disappointing. I mean, you've got James Franco in this movie as well, and he's basically nothing more than a glorified cameo. He's basically given the Drew Barrymore role, and you know, the difference between him and Drew Barrymore is that she had a lot more screen time than James Franco does, and it's kind of a shame that he's in this film. But you understand what his purpose is, and his purpose is to be a plot device, sadly. But yeah, the other characters, I guess they were sort of fun. I would have liked to have known more about them, but yeah, their purpose is just to sort of be there and set the tone of what's to come, the plot elements and stuff regarding the, you know, the goo or the gas, or you like to call it, the infection and the virus, etc., and death. Basically, that's what they're there for, just to give us some cool deaths. Though they're all pretty much the basic kind of deaths you've seen in all the Alien movies, except for at least 2 or 3 of them that were very horrific and unexpected to see. Like I said, Backbuster and something else, and another character that burns to death horrifically. Damn. But yeah, cool, I'd say cool, but it is a negative as well, because you look at the other movies, right? You know, you watch the original Alien, you had 7 actors on set, you know, 7 characters, and you kind of get invested in them. And then you watch Aliens, and you've got those soldier characters, and you've got that chemistry with all of them, and you kind of get sold on their friendship and camaraderie kind of attitude. And then you watch Alien 3 with all the prisoners, and yeah, there's a lot of characters there, but you know, each one sort of gets their moment. You get the cool characters as well. You get the moments with the ones who are the main characters, and you understand them. And then Alien Resurrection as well. You kind of get the pirates and that. So you know, you always get you get those movies where you kind of get close and understand what each character is. But with this film, and especially Prometheus, there were sort of problems with trying to develop it, and that's because there were too many damn characters. I mean, Prometheus I think had 20, and this one has 15, and you only, you know, you probably by the end you only get to know or like about 5 of them out of the other 10 characters that are there. So it is a bit disappointing in that department. But the rest of the film pretty much holds up. The cinematography is gorgeous. As always, Ridley Scott, right? He knows, when it comes to Ridley Scott, he's a hit and miss director in my opinion. But when it comes to him just filming like sci-fi, this guy's just got this eye for sci-fi. Like you watch it and you're like, this is what a sci-fi horror kind of movie should look like. You know, Prometheus had that cinematography, that atmosphere, and it was great. It's just the story and the characters at times just brought it really down. And this movie has the atmosphere and cinematography as well, and it's great. And the story holds up a bit more until the third act, when it kind of just sort of speeds along. But that's not a negative, you know, you either like it or you hate it. So it depends on your attitude and what you really want. If you want that, you're going to love it. If you don't, then I'm sorry to say, you're going to be disappointed. But yeah, in terms of cinematography, man, this movie is just beautiful to look at. This is what I want a sci-fi movie to look at. And you get to spend a lot of time in space as well in the beginning. And that's one of the things I like about movies like that. I like the slow build-up before you get to all the crazy shit down below. I love those parts in films like this. And this movie definitely delivers on that first act. Music is definitely a homage to the original Alien. You get a lot of original tracks from the original film, obviously. You know, like I said, you get renewed, if you will. Yeah, renewed. You get a lot of renewed soundtracks and some new stuff, and stuff from Prometheus as well. So yeah, in terms of music, very nostalgic. In terms of horror, because this movie is meant to be a sci-fi horror, did I get scared watching this? I may have jumped once or twice during the facehugger scenes, but other than that, not really. This movie was more chilling in atmosphere and disgusting than me jumping up my seat going, ah! So no, it wasn't scary. But like I said, if you're one of those guys who, like me, who grew up with these movies, you're technically not gonna find this terrifying anymore. Because if you've seen 1 Alien, right, and then you've seen 2, and then you've seen 3, you've seen them all really, because you've seen them all. Like this doesn't terrify you anymore. So the whole kind of attitude going into this saying, I want to scare people, just feels like kind of a cop-out. It's like, no, not really. Disgusting, yeah, which is great, you know, like, you know, surprises with that kind of shit. That was unexpected. That was horrifying. But scariness, no, I'm not scared. I'm not pissing my pants, unfortunately. So, you know, try harder next time. Try harder. Definitely try harder. But yeah, this movie, man, like I said, fun. I'll say that. It's a good, fun, sci-fi horror kind of flick, and I had a joyous time with it. Like, I really want to see it again, and I'm definitely looking forward to the sequel. I mean, if there's one thing I could say that Prometheus sort of disappointed me, was that I went in with low expectations and I walked out very disappointed either way. And I was definitely not looking forward to anything that was meant to come after. But this movie, like, I went in with low expectations and I walked out pretty satisfied. Again, I have a few problems with it, but compared to Prometheus, not so much. So I'm definitely looking forward to the sequel. But that ending, man, I'm not going to spoil what it is, but that ending just sort of has me going, oh, I hope they don't screw that up. Like, you know, I really did like the characters by the end of this film, but so hopefully they tie that in nicely and bring these guys back. But yeah, hopefully they don't go too crazy with the next one. But yeah, I can't wait. And Alien Covenant is definitely a fun time. You know, if you love Alien, if you love the franchise, if you love Ridley Scott and you love your horror sci-fi films, if you love Michael Fassbender, if you love special effects and all that crazy shit, definitely give it a go. Speaking of special effects, I have to say, when it came to the alien effects with the neomorphs and the chest busters and that, it was a bit iffy. I mean, at times it was very laughable, but what can you do, right? The days of puppets and all that is kind of gone, which brings me up to the alien itself. I have to say, it did kind of feel like the original from the movie, the way it walked, the way it stood up. Those kind of scenes were great, but also, like I said, a bit weird to look at because of the special effects, because of the visual effects. I say special and visual, then again, it's the same thing, but right? But yeah, definitely weird. But again, like, I liked it. Thought it could be better, but I definitely liked it. This movie is a good film. It's just there's a lot of stuff in there that's sort of done with the way it's directed and made that you kind of go, what? And that's kind of the thing that kind of brings it down in terms of writing and character and story. There isn't that much of a problem with it. In terms of answers left over from Prometheus, yeah, you're probably going to be disappointed with that. But as a whole, this film is, like I said, a fun time. So I definitely enjoyed it. And that's why I'm going to give this movie a spectacular 8 out of 10. That's right, an 8 out of 10. That's how much I liked it. Again, it's definitely flawed. Some people might not like it that much, but I definitely did. This film was definitely good. It was definitely a highlight. Seeing Michael Fassbender interacting with another Michael Fassbender and getting those talks of creation and what it means to create and destroy as well, and the growth that his character went through was, genius to see. So that was definitely a highlight for me, and just the overall creature effects that we got at times, and just the performances and the atmosphere and the exploration, and that was fun to me. Give it a watch, guys. 8 out of 10, whatever, like I said. And that's my review. So as always, like and subscribe, whatever, guys. And I shall see you when I shall see you. Take care and bye.